Hey there, friends. Sometimes, the most powerful stories aren't just about headlines. They're about the quiet, heartbreaking ripple effect on real lives and the incredible human spirit that tirelessly strives to piece things back together when everything has been torn apart. Today, we're embarking on a crucial journey to find vital answers, to connect the scattered dots in a landscape forever changed by profound conflict. Back in 2022, the world watched in disbelief as a nation found itself suddenly plunged into intense conflict. I'm Bell True, an international correspondent, and I was sent to witness these unfolding events firsthand. After weeks of ferocious exchanges, a significant turning point arrived when forces began to recede from the capital region. It was a moment of profound, momentary relief, yet it opened the door to an even more somber reality. My team and I immediately journeyed into these newly accessible areas, towns and villages that, for long weeks, had been completely cut off, isolated from the world. Imagine, if you can, being without any phone connection, no internet, just profound, isolating silence. It was, astonishingly, the first time any outsiders had reached these communities. We drove towards Bucha, a town just a short, unsettling distance from Kyiv. Ukrainian officials were already speaking of a truly significant loss of life there, hundreds of innocent individuals whose lives had been tragically cut short. The air felt heavy, thick with sorrow. We wandered through a landscape bearing the indelible scars of profound human suffering, talking to the few brave civilians slowly emerging from their homes. Their stories were profoundly heartbreaking, vivid accounts of unspeakable cruelty, harrowing acts of violence, and individuals simply vanishing without a trace. It was a grim, undeniable testament to the human toll of the recent occupation. One day, on our weary way back from reporting, we stumbled upon what appeared to be a hastily abandoned encampment. Trenches, burnt-out vehicles, stark signs of a hasty, desperate departure. But then to my left, a sight that would forever stay etched within me: the tragic discovery of a young life abruptly and brutally ended. A boy, perhaps only 16, his hands and feet bound, bore the unmistakable signs of a decisive, fatal impact. It was a solemn, heart-wrenching testament to a lost future, lying tragically in a lonely patch of woods. This, I realized, was the most devastating, enduring legacy of any conflict families left behind, grappling with endless, tormenting questions. Their loved ones simply vanished, their fates unknown. This young man, lying there so still, brought home the cruel reality of lacking proper closure. How many others, I wondered with a heavy heart, were out there, lost and nameless? Months later, I returned to that eerie camp. The entire area was still strewn with remnants of what had been military rations, broken ammunition boxes. The local police admitted they still had no clear answers about what transpired there, especially concerning the civilians who were clearly held in this desolate area. The sad truth is, they might genuinely never know, as Ukrainian forces courageously advanced and liberated areas like Makariv. The scenes encountered were consistently heartbreaking. Many innocent individuals had tragically perished, their lifeless presence a stark, painful reminder of the recent conflict, some having remained where they fell for weeks. The challenge of meticulously documenting these profound losses during active engagements was immense. The image of that young man in the woods haunted me relentlessly. We found his body in April, so incredibly young, so cruelly extinguished, and then left behind. We knew he had been fatally impacted, with his hands bound. Had anyone, I desperately wondered, found out who he was? Up until then, his identity had remained a complete mystery. Since the young man wasn't local to Makariv, we carefully reached out to community leaders in neighboring villages that had also experienced the harrowing ordeal of occupation. We visited a school in Andriivka, where classrooms and playgrounds had been chillingly repurposed. Here, we learned many individuals had gone missing, some subjected to extreme duress. Many were young men, taken away if they were disliked, if they couldn't provide something, or if they were found with any military attire. It quickly became painfully apparent that this was far more complicated and intricate than we could have imagined. There were widespread reports of individuals taken from other areas, moved around by forces. And then there were the internally displaced people, desperately seeking safety in rural areas, only to find themselves in new danger. It was truly like trying to find a single, elusive needle in an impossibly vast haystack. Our last, most somber option was the regional morgue, a facility that, before the brutal conflict, was small and quiet. Now, it had become the central collection point for all the lives tragically lost across the entire Kyiv region. The forensic doctor, unfortunately, didn't recognize our young man. Without any clear context or specific identifying marks, identifying him seemed almost impossible. At that chaotic time, the dedicated teams there were valiantly handling hundreds of individuals, or sadly, parts of individuals. Amidst such overwhelming turmoil, misplacing identities became a tragically frequent reality. Bags were torn, documents became wet, and previously identified individuals could tragically become nameless once more. There was even a harrowing instance where individuals were grievously mixed up during transportation. Yuri, a dedicated professional there, shared a staggering figure. Over 2,000 individuals still desperately awaited identification. Half of them, innocent civilians, and he grimly suggested that the true extent of those whose identities are yet unknown, especially in occupied territories, could realistically be 10 times higher. The profound human toll of the conflict and the extensive, egregious violations of human dignity were simply immense and utterly incomprehensible. I hadn't fully appreciated the sheer, overwhelming scale and intricate complexity of this problem until I witnessed it firsthand. It inevitably led me to the International Commission on Missing Persons, an organization that has spent decades diligently identifying those lost in conflict. Matthew, from the ICMP, explained that the issue isn't just about families' inherent right to know, it's also, crucially, about justice. He noted how unique Ukraine's courageous approach was, launching comprehensive investigations into missing persons cases, even while the brutal conflict was ongoing, a truly monumental challenge. One of those myriad challenges became heartbreakingly clear next door, where a resilient Ukrainian teenager named Vladislav was bravely giving a DNA sample. He was desperately, agonizingly searching for his beloved mother. In a cruel and almost unimaginable twist of fate, he had believed he found her remains, cremated them, and then sought to lay them to rest. But it turned out he had mistakenly buried someone else entirely. Vladislav's mother and stepfather had bravely gone to Bucha to deliver much-needed aid. On March 25th, on their perilous way back to Kyiv, contact was suddenly and completely lost. Absolutely no word. He recounted seeing truckloads of anonymous individuals, and the overwhelming chaos meant things were inevitably misplaced, tragically misidentified. It was a heartbreaking mix-up of profound proportions. Vladislav only learned the devastating truth months later, when lawyers sorrowfully informed him he had mistakenly cremated Ksenia, another innocent victim. Ksenia and her devoted husband Maxim had been trying desperately to evacuate with their 6-year-old child and a close friend. Their desperate, valiant attempt to reach safety was tragically met with a swift, brutal, and utterly terrible conclusion. Surveillance footage, chillingly captured by sheer chance, showed their vehicle coming under sudden and overwhelming pressure. Maxim's uncle shared the harrowing footage, showing the exact moment a decisive action was taken against Maxim. Ksenia's journey tragically concluded within the vehicle. Miraculously, their young son and the other passengers survived, led away by a soldier to a profoundly difficult and uncertain situation. This drone footage thus became the somber start of their own painful investigation, a stark, gut-wrenching reminder of the countless individual stories behind the headlines.